Welcome everyone to Rules of the Arena episode 30. This episode is made possible by Blind Ninja Studio.
31, Gordon.
31. Jesus Christ. I was on a really good streak there for a minute. This episode is made possible by Blind Ninja Studios, where you can find this show and others, such as Department of Defense, Homebrew Bound, Soundwave, and Legends of Lothos. We are also brought to you by Duck Hill Workshop, a small-scale sawmill and builders of fine furniture. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Duck Hill Workshop. And don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel, where you can watch episodes of Workshop Wednesday and In the Shop with Ben and Glenn. Tonight in studio is not my co-host Ben, because he thought it was Saturday and it's actually Sunday. But more importantly, we have the man behind the curtain, producer Casey.
Yeah, that's me.
And joining us this week is Matt. I don't even know how to say your last name.
Lardenoise.
Large Nuts in some craft beer circles. And founder of Energized Outdoors. Thanks, Matt, for coming down to the studio tonight. Please just introduce yourself a little bit for the folks listening at home.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it. And so I'm Matthew Lardenoise. I'm the owner and founder of Energized Outdoors. Proud father of two, and so we are the Energized Outdoors is been around for a couple of years now, and we specialize in lithium batteries and a lot of other miscellaneous fishing items, but we kind of generalize the products that we sell around the outdoors industry, trying to grow it, making the outdoors affordable again.
So when did you first start thinking that you wanted to start your own business?
Well, in high school, I kind of switched my major from engineering to business management, and went to University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, late 90s, and I graduated there with a management degree, and it was always kind of one of my dreams to own my own business eventually. Just really never had the opportunity, or really took time to find the opportunity to do it. I always knew I was going to do it. It was just, when are you going to have the right idea, the right business plan, and the right product or service in place to do it. And it just so happened I didn't really anticipate this happening a couple of years ago, but it just kind of fell upon my shoulders, and I took it and ran with it.
So did you always plan on doing, like you said, making outdoors affordable? Did you want to go into fishing and outdoors gear, or did you have a different plan in your head originally?
Fishing and outdoors was always a passion, right? It was a sport, it was a hobby, it was something that I've always done. And you dream as a kid to kind of be like one of those big fishermen on TV, and do that for a living. And I knew with my skills that probably would never happen. So I spent most of my time in electronics, worked for Best Buy and another tech company, and always thought it could have been something within that, but just kind of saw this opportunity with the battery business and the way that was booming, or really not booming, but seeing the demand come about in fishing electronics and outdoors electronics and portable power. Saw that, and I said, this is probably the time to do this and run.
Yeah, I was just watching the Bassmaster Classic or Nationals or whatever fishing competition was on today, and it's like you have this 20-foot boat, and there's about 4 square feet of walking space, and the rest is just shit everywhere.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to go to ICAST, which is one of the biggest fishing shows in the world, last week, and all the professional fishermen were there with their products and all the vendors. And I mean, there are people that'll have more money tied up in their fishing gear, their boats, than they do in their homes. Easily. Yeah.
So how did you come up with the name Energized Outdoors?
So Energized Outdoors was not my name. I was going to carry batteries, and I was going to start off with some basic fishing lures for ice fishing, tungsten products that glowed in the dark, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, right. So it was actually a good friend of mine, Brian. We're throwing around some ideas. He just came up as like Energized Outdoors. I'm like, because I wanted to have something outdoors in it. Mm-hmm. You don't want to limit yourself with a name like that for just fishing, because you're leaving so many other markets, on the table. So if you have outdoors, there's so many things you can do in outdoors, right? And we found a lot of demands for our products in the outdoors. So we wanted to have that in the name. He came up with Energized, and I said, that works. Let's go with it. And I created a label, and within 24 hours, it was Energized Outdoors, and we had a logo. So,
Nice.
yeah, yep.
So you started the company January, February last year?
February of 2018, we actually, we opened the company and started taking orders. And I had been working with this technology for almost 5 years now. So my previous job, I did a lot of international purchasing, and being fed up with the other battery companies out, in the industry. I decided, I'm just going to source this technology myself, and sourced from quite a few different places. Next thing you know, I've got the supply of lithium batteries at my house, and the demand just kind of came with having that. I had it. People saw that. They wanted the technology. I was selling to them, and finally, it's like, there's so many open markets for this. Let's go big. And we took about 6 months prior to getting our LLC, right? We wanted to have a LLC, make sure we're insured, and we went through all that.
Listening, that's limited liability
Yep.
company. So
Limited liability company, very important.
it's nice and to protect yourself and
Yep.
keep your personal assets away,
Yep.
as I found out.
Yep. And so we went that route. We got all that in place. Took 6 months to really find which supplier was going to be supplying my products. And I started off slow, part-time, put together a basic website, and the first few months, majority of my business came off of eBay, of all places. Yeah.
So when you started online, did you build your own website, or did you go through a domain host?
So since it was just me, and I'm like, I'm gonna sell, maybe if I'm lucky, a couple hundred batteries this year. I just went to, did the research on different website hosts, or whatever you call them, and I found Shopify, and it seemed to do everything I really needed it to. It tracks, my inventory, and I can take orders and payments, and almost all major payments, and they had really easy interface for me as a non graphical design guy to create a website. So we started off with that, and I am still doing that today.
So how did you start? How did you first manage, your incoming orders from your suppliers, and then of course inventory and processing shipments that are going out? I mean, you said Shopify kind of takes care of that for you on the online side or the interface side, but as far as getting the physical shipment out, I mean, did you set up a commercial account with anything?
So that's one thing that was bundled in with Shopify that I liked. And I have access. I did use a couple of others. There's so many out there. You hear them on the radio and on I don't know, Spotify, right? Ads and stuff of different companies that will that you can sign up for to ship your products. And I've been approached by a couple of different carriers for shipping my products out, and right now my rates are best through my website, only because I upgraded my website service to a higher end level, so you get a little better rates. And I am shipping so many items out. I mean, since I started, I'm now at about close to 6,000 orders have been shipped out, and with lithium batteries too, you can only ship UPS. So I found they were one of the easier ones to use. And then on all my other products, it's less expensive to ship through United States Postal Service. Especially the smaller items, so I use them, and they're all supported through Shopify. So I was able to, as far as managing incoming orders, my software I can put in what I have coming in, so it manages that inventory. When I get it, it just receives it in inventory. And then because I am using Amazon, and I'm using eBay and all those other services, they are all integrated and linked together, so that way they kind of manage my inventory for me. Being a one-man wrecking crew, I take the order, I print the order, I pack the order, I tape the order, I ship the order, I support the order. So at this point.
And you said you started doing this part-time.
Yep.
And you recently this year just left your full-time gig, the safety net, if you will, of working for an established company.
Yep.
did you plan on doing that out the gate when you started this, or did it just became, EO just became so successful this made sense for
Yep.
you?
Yeah, Energized Outdoors became popular last fall when the ice fishing season started, and we started hitting trade shows. And it was one of those decisions where I was, I'm happy with the job that I have. I was enjoying what I was doing. It was a salary job, and the company was growing incredibly fast. There's not many people that'll complain about having a job like that that's growing, working with a company that's making money, and you like the people you work with. But at the same time, this last February we had our second child, our son Finn, and when your business blows up during, like it did last ice fishing season, to balance a salary job, which could be 60 plus hours a week, a full-time family, and a business on the side that was part-time, that was almost impossible. So I had to make the decision. I'm not going to get rid of my family.
You just can't put them on eBay?
No. And I'm not going to turn down the opportunity. It was just perfect timing to where I was I'm financially stable. My wife's got a great job. And, a week before we had the kid, I was like, can I do this full time? She's like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you bringing this to me now? And then, like, literally a month later, there was just so much going on. I'm like, I can't do all three. And she says, do it, and I was at the point of time then where I was making, almost as much as I was doing a full-time salary job with my business. And I, had just built a 1,500 square foot, I call it facility. It's my garage, my detached workshop, so to say. That is, 3/4 of it is now my business. So it was just like perfect timing. Like everything happened, and the stars aligned, and it just made sense. So that's why I decided, it was time for this to go. It was hard to do. But I'm like, this, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret this every day of my life. Yeah. And that was not a risk I wanted to take. And again, I didn't want to get rid of the family, so that wasn't an option.
And I've been on the self-employment side, and I now work in corporate America. My biggest fear, I'd love to go back to self-employment, but my fear is losing the benefit package. I mean, was that a discussion that you've had to have?
It was funny because we had just gone on my benefits earlier that year. We just had the baby, right? And, it was due to all of these change of events. My wife, it was similar. My wife has a good job too, so we actually just rolled everything over to her benefits. And that was one of my major concerns. Was I can't just leave because I've got now a newborn, a 2-year-old, and a wife, and myself. We're all under my.
When it's just the two of you, you could be like, do you really need to see the doctor?
Yeah, right.
Rub some dirt on it; it'll be fine.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, rub some oils on it. Yeah. No.
Waiting to get sued.
No, that is a concern of people today. Because the cost of healthcare is not cheap. So, if you have the opportunity, just look into the options. And it was just so easy for us because of a life event. I was, leaving my job and taking on a new position, and just had the baby, and I was like, there's life-changing event there, so we were able to switch over, fortunately, and get on my wife's plan. And believe it or not, we were better off doing that. And she did have better coverage, so yeah.
So you said Energized Outdoors really started to blow up last fall, going into the ice fishing season here. We're in Wisconsin. It gets cold in the winter.
Yep.
So what would you attribute to it becoming so popular so quickly?
Yeah, so, a lot of it, like, I'm going to sell, maybe I'll sell a couple hundred batteries this year. And it turned out we sold a couple thousand batteries, and we just didn't know it was going to turn on that quickly because the competition, really only one or two of them in the industry, they were so well known. But we took a little different angle to the industry, and Energized Outdoors is a battery company formed around for the use in the outdoors, and our competitors were electronic bicycle companies or solar power companies who took advantage of the demand of batteries for the outdoors, right? So I saw that demand because if people look at the outdoors or fishing and they say, well, why do you need a battery for the outdoors or fishing? And there are so many cases where I was like, we have a cabin off grid. So our cabin has no power, no cell phones. I mean, you can't get anything out there in the middle of the woods. So I was just thinking to myself, where could we use portable, lightweight battery power in a situation like that? Well, run great-grandfather's CPAP machine, brother-in-law's CPAP machine. The batteries can power, it can be put into a box. You get a power box, and you can use it in your tree stand when deer hunting, or you can charge your cell phone, or whatever it happens to be. If you're in an off-grid situation, there's so many people who go out and they hike or they camp. I mean, you think about camping. I mean, how many times do you have electricity? There's so many people out there backpacking and camping and tenting, or whatever you happen to do in the outdoors where you don't have that power. So to have a lightweight solution to bring with you to power all of your everyday needs, your cell phones, your lighting, your anything, TV even, there's a need for it. And then in the fishing side of it, kayak fishing took off in the last couple of years, and people are putting trolling motors on kayaks. People are putting big fancy electronics on their kayaks because they're fishing in tournaments and they need state-of-the-art products to win these tournaments, right? To find fish or to play. So they're requiring more and more power, and they are again portable, so they need lightweight technology. And that's one thing with our product. You think of your traditional battery. My battery is half the weight of an SLA battery, and we'll give you twice the power of that, and it's safer. So we have one of the safest lithium technologies in the industry. So people started to hear about this technology, and that's why it just kind of took off. I think people saw the demand, and we listened to them. That's one thing that we like to do is we like to listen to them, where my competitors found they had one battery and that's all they sold at the shows, right? So at trade shows or what they sold online, and people just like bought 10 of them, put them together to power a trolling motor. Well, I came up with one battery to power a trolling motor. For the big pieces of fishing electronics, people were putting 2 or 3 batteries together, to get enough power.
That's the case with me and my dad. We have a little 14-foot bass boat, but I mean, there's a couple car batteries in back just to power the lights and all the other shit that we don't need. Yep,
and that's 80 pounds, and then I offer a solution that's 15 pounds, right? And people go, what? I can replace all of this with a 15-pound item that I don't have to carry around, and it wasn't me just releasing this product and it just took off, right? It was one person buying it from us, and then we really we're really fond in our customer support. So if somebody needs something, I'll work with them on getting them the right product, and then they will be like, oh my God, I've never received that service before. And coming from the service industry, that's always been important to me, and why I kind of started the company is because my competitors weren't doing that. They weren't taking care of me or other people, and the fact that I came in and I'd listen to a customer, I'd take care of them. They said, wow, you went above and beyond to take care of us. Now they have this product, they love it, they tell everybody about it. And it's not just their friends and their family, it's we'll talk about this probably a little bit more, but social media, it's huge now. In the fishing industry, if you're looking for something, it's hard to go to a Cabela's today and find somebody knowledgeable to give you what you need, and that's unfortunate for all retail space.
That 15-minute training video for the high schooler isn't that knowledgeable?
The knowledgeable clerk I think is a thing of the past.
Yeah. It is. It really is, and we can do that through social media, right? And I can reach thousands of people through social media. And when I have customers out there who love my support, and I've educated them on the technology, I don't even have to be the one selling it. Somebody goes online and says, hey guys, I'm looking for a battery for my fish finder, and all of a sudden I got 10 of my customers replying to him say, oh my God, you got to go buy from Energized Outdoors because they're amazing, awesome battery, awesome support. My name's thrown out there a lot, which I feel great about, and that's why we've taken off. And it's not, anybody can throw a product out there, but it's the support that goes with it. And I feel you don't find in today's world anymore. It's kind of a thing in the past. That goes a long way, and it's not just for your older clientele. It's everybody from millennials all the way, all the way up.
I've been
They
in
want that.
customer service 18, 19 years, and I've said, customer service itself is kind of a dying art.
Yeah.
You don't get the same quality that you did when I was, when my dad
Back
raised
in
me.
my
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
Right. Right.
When I'm walking through a big box store, just say hi. That's all I ask. You
Yeah.
don't need to hold my fucking hand, but
Oh, see, I'm the exact opposite. If I'm walking through a big box store, you don't fucking talk to me unless I approach you. Like,
Yeah.
see, I was trained in the 38 special.
Yeah.
Answer the phone within 3 rings and greet the customer within 8 steps of the door.
Yeah.
no, thank you. I don't want to talk to you.
I'm not
I don't
gonna.
wanna
No, I
talk to
just
anybody.
like especially when we're busy, I try to
Yeah.
greet somebody.
Yeah.
In bartending, especially.
Yeah.
Full house. Hey, how's it going? I'll be with you in a minute.
Right.
Just let them know.
This is so new too, where a lot of people don't. I mean, you're not going to go to a store and get that, but where do people go now to find an answer to something now? Is they go to like YouTube or Google,
Yeah,
right?
They go to the internet.
They go to the internet. Well, if somebody researches, I mean, I want to try and get there, so my name pops up first, and they're reading my blogs,
Yeah.
or that's why I'm working on video now to get my videos out there, so they read or so they watch my videos,
Yeah.
and get a jump over the competition on stuff like that.
Yeah, so you
yeah.
need your SEO to be optimized for like when
Yes.
people are looking for that, when they're doing that product research, which the internet has made so readily available.
Yeah, and the SEO is probably my biggest opportunity right now, and I did a lot of research on that the last couple weeks that I've been traveling, and that's where I think my opportunity is to even draw more people in, because you want to draw that quality.
Yeah.
I can have 300 people on my website a day, but if I'm only converting 5% of them, let's get some more quality people to my website where it can convert 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to back things up a little bit. You
Yep.
mentioned that you have the safest technology. You mentioned SLA.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah, sealed
SLA batteries.
Yeah, sealed lead acid is what SLA stands for. It's your traditional battery like you have in, your fish finders come with them today because they're cheap. They're $20 for a 9 amp hour battery, or you have them in your vehicles or your trolling motors on your boats now. That's the old lead acid technology that we're all familiar with, and that the technology is old. Say lead's dead. It's heavy. It's not efficient. It's bad for the environment. If not recycled properly, and they don't last long. So I went out and I researched, what's the best replacement for it, and we came up with lithium iron phosphate, which is one of the most advanced and can be most expensive lithium technologies in the industry. So it's not only less than half the weight, but a lead acid battery is about 400 charges before they start to die, right? My battery will have 80% capacity at 2,000 charges, and that's 5 times the life. So yeah, my battery may cost 4 times as much, but if it lasts 5 times as long, it's half the weight. It's better for the environment, and then apples to apples, when you buy my battery will last twice as long per charge. So and that's what the people really like about it. So if I have a fish finder and I'm ice fishing, I can go out and I can get 20 hours on a charge versus 8 to 10 hours on a charge. Or for the person that wants the lightweight technology, there are people that are fishing tournaments and they'll go and drill 100 to 200 holes in a day, and they will go hole hop with their electronics. When you can save 3 to 4 pounds on your electronics, that saves your arm in an entire event, and makes a world of difference to them. So that's why the technology's really taken off, and now that people are getting educated on it, they're all starting to jump on it.
So you said you started off selling glow in the dark tungsten jigs.
Yep.
At what point did you start to go, hey, there's lithium batteries, I should really do some research on that? I mean, where did that kind of turn come about?
Actually, it was the other way around. I was looking at lithium first, and I purchased lithium first for my own personal use, and then everyone else was like, well, I want that. So I said, we decided, hey, we're going to go this route. And then at the same time, I'm like, well, how can I diversify my lineup a little bit within the same industry? And I knew that my first run in the industry was going to be an ice fishing season, and I'm very passionate about ice fishing. So I was looking at other technologies too that I've sourced directly from from suppliers overseas, because all the stuff that we're using in the fishing industry comes from overseas. At least 95+% of it is. So tungsten jigs, they it just seemed right. So I've sourced them in the past. I started off at the same time I started the company with, I think I only had like 1,000 jigs total that I bought, and they sold within 3 months, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I
Is
got
that
them
faster than when you bought 1,000 jigs? I mean, were you kind of sitting there like, fuck, this is a lot of inventory. How am I going to move this? Or did you kind of have a timetable in your head? I could
Yeah.
probably move this within X.
I didn't know. I said I was gonna sell them for half the price of everybody else, right? So if I buy it for X, I can sell it for $1.50, and my competition's selling them for $2 to $3 each. And I know that I'm buying. I know the technology. They're all coming from like 2 or 3 factories overseas. So we have the exact same technology. Like, I'm looking at their catalog, and I'm like, oh, that's this company, that's this company, that's this company. So I try to find ones that were different than everybody else's and would be popular. So I bought that, and I didn't know, it was the risk I was willing to take, because it wasn't 1,000 of them is not a whole lot. There could be a person that buys 100 of them in an order, right? So I started small, and they went real fast. So I built up for that was for the 2017-2018 season. So I literally sold it between February and March and a little bit of April. I sold out. I got my next batch in of about 20,000 last October, and I sold those pretty darn fast. And I got a lot, a larger assortment. I diversified. I did, I'm always looking for a way to do something different than the competition, and that's so key. Especially when you can buy a tungsten ice fishing jig from about 100 different companies out there. So what sets me apart? Okay, I'm less expensive. I have the same quality. I'm going to give good support. I have fast ship times, right? And so what else can I do? And, most places only carry 3 sizes. I carry like 8 sizes. So these large size jigs that no one's seen before. When I went to a trade show, people were coming up going, "Holy crap! What is this? I could use this for this." And they're telling me what they're going to use them for, what they could use them for. And I said, okay, that reassures what I just did. And that kind of caught the eyes of a different crowd, that the northern Minnesota people who fish walleye Lake of the Woods, or whatever. So tungsten, if you're not familiar with it, drops incredibly fast in the water column versus lead. And eventually lead will probably be outlawed for lakes. It's just not good for the environment. So tungsten's a better product, and it's an expensive product. So I'm like, yeah, well, let's jump on that. And that's been big. But my pride and joy is still in batteries. I want to sell what I'm passionate about. And I've gotten some stuff in that I wasn't passionate about, and it showed, because it just didn't sell. Yeah.
So now jigs aren't too bad. You buy 20,000 jigs, it's not going to take up a lot of real estate of your house.
No.
But when you start buying X thousand number of batteries,
Yeah.
Did your wife at any point go, get the shit out of my place?
Yeah. Well, last year we made the mistake. I was buying in batches of 100, and that was fine because I only had like 2 or 3 battery sizes. Competition had 1. So, I mean, they're just selling 1 battery. They know what they're going to have. Demand-wise, all of a sudden 1 battery blows up where another one's not, and I have 1,000 of these, but I don't have enough of those, and it was just, you have to learn from your mistakes and from experiences, and the first year was kind of a test year, so we didn't buy a whole lot. So they're coming in on a regular basis in batches of 100. This year, my first big batch is going to be, we're going to start buying by the thousands. So now, last year I didn't have a 15,000 square foot facility to work out of. This year I do, and I did put away about 500 square feet of that for batteries. The nice thing, they're small, so 1,000 of them won't take up a whole lot of room. And I've networked with people across the United States. I do have some warehousing opportunities where if we do get large enough and I need like southern distribution or something, I've got some people that I know now that have that distribution or have that warehouse space that could help me out. Yeah.
And for this marketing, like you mentioned, you now know people do that distribution. I mean, what
Yep.
kinds of marketing are you doing? You mentioned social media has been a big one.
Yeah.
Are you doing the paid advertisements, or are you going into different forums and groups and talking to people and posting yourself?
Yeah, it's been kind of it's a learn from experience type of thing, and I've done Facebook ads, and they work for some, not others, and you kind of learn as you go what's going to work and what's not. I could easily go out there. I've been approached by Ron Shera. I've been approached by many different filming agencies where, we'll represent your product, or you can have a 30-second commercial on our program on FSN, or you can be on Ron Shera, or, we'll endorse your product. And at this point of time, I've said no to it because, you're looking at $10,000 to $30,000 for a 10-week run or whatever it is. And it's like, you know what I can do in marketing, for trade shows or other things for that amount of money. And that's typically why you find like your big names, Evan Rude, Lund Boats and all that. Like all the big guys are sponsoring these shows, right?
Because they have the capital to do it.
Oh yeah, they've got the capital to do it. And I could, but it's a big risk. And I'm a huge fan of taking risks, but I said, there's in my business plan, this is my route that I'm going to take, and I'm just going to stick to it, and we're not going to spend the big money right now, just because this last year we saw how much we blew up on just advertising on forums and social media that didn't cost us anything, so if I do more shows, and I do sponsor more fishermen or have a larger pro staff or other things that are other pieces of advertising, having a staff with you that represents your product is huge, or just having pleasant customers who will represent for you. To me, that's one of the best ways to grow today, and it's not expensive. Like I said, it's cheap, So
you mentioned you're sponsoring professionals.
Yep.
How did you start doing that? Did you reach out to them, or were there already people in the industry going, "Hey, I want to work with you"?
Even since day one of being in the industry, people just reach out to you, usually email or Facebook. They'll just send you a message, and it's like, "Hey, I see that you carry this product. I'm a huge huge fan of yours, and." Yeah, blah 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 blah. Do you have staff positions open? And like it comes down to there are times where I have like 5 to 10 people a day that want to be part of your staff. Like they want to represent your product. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. You kind of got to weed out it's not that I would love to bring everybody on, but you got to be selective of who you bring onto your staff because you want to get the most out of who's there, right? So I want somebody who's active in forums, who's well known, who's just an all-around good person. I don't want people who are constantly bringing up politics or pissing each other off on these forums. I want the person that everybody likes, that everybody looks to for an answer, who is extremely active, who works maybe with some other larger companies as well. But good overall people who volunteer in their communities, people who are in all these, in other events, and do great things for the industry to help grow the industry, right? So that's the type of person I look to. So if they don't, if somebody doesn't have that type of presence, I kind of like weed them out. And it's like, it's not like you're not going to get there. It's just, you need to get there. If you've never had a post in social media sites, you're probably not going to be part of my team, right? Or, if you're like, oh yeah, I fish these tournaments all the time, but you're not in the top 10. To me, that's not a big thing. You don't have to be in the top 10 in tournaments to be a good representative of the company. I think a better overall person, with a good personality will bring more business to you. But a lot of them have reached out to me, and then I've found people that I just think would be a perfect fit for my company. You see them out in the forums constantly, doing the right thing for the business and for the industry. And those are the people that I go to and say, hey, do you have a battery sponsor now? Some of them want big bucks, and some of them just want to be part. And I like to have the people that want to be part, because I could go, I could go get XYZ big fisherman, that everybody knows in the industry to represent my product, but it's going to cost me $20,000 to do it, right? They're only there because
Your product's only as good as the dollar.
right,
you know.
right. So, I love the people that come to me and say, "Hey, I want to represent your product," and I really don't want anything. I believe in your product. I want the person that'll believe in my product because that's the person that'll sell my product.
And you mentioned the trade shows, and you just got back from Florida.
Mhm.
You're down there. How's it? How had the trade shows been going? And are you seeing an ROI? And would you say the cost of traveling, of course, is worth going to those trade shows, especially out of state or out of
Yeah.
the region?
So I've been to more than I've actually been a exhibitor at. So my first show that we were an exhibitor at was St. Paul Ice Fishing Show, which is the biggest in the ice fishing industry, and luckily it's the closest. So I said we're gonna do one show this year, and this was last year. We're gonna do that show. So we did that one, and it was it was huge. That's where we took off, right? So it was like mid-November. I was already selling a couple batteries a day, but you go to selling a couple batteries a day to going to that show and you sell a couple hundred batteries, right, in 2 days. And that makes a big difference. People hear about you, and then they go home and they tell all their friends, and family and all that. So I think they're definitely worth it because you're getting an audience there that's really passionate about the product. I mean, they're traveling from all over the country to go up to one show to see what's new that year. And last year we were brand new, so there's a lot of people visiting our booth. So I kind of want to do that in a larger scale this year. We've got just about every ice fishing show in the north booked. We're going to do the same thing as we did. And then, we went to that ICAST show, and we'll probably be an exhibitor there next year. And there's nobody down there is ice fishing, or talks about ice fishing. There's very few products for ice fishing, but our product is such a wide scope now that I think it'll be big in a lot of different categories. So just being at the show, so many people wanted to know more about our product, and I met so many great people that it makes sense to do that. So big shows, absolutely. We're gonna experiment a little bit, some outdoor shows, and see if they're worth it. But in this industry and for the product that we're selling, and the fact that we only do it online, that we only sell direct to customers, we don't have products in a retail store or big retail stores. It's probably the best exposure for us. Yep.
Well, how did you go about becoming or having an exhibit at these shows? I mean, how difficult was it for you to reach out and?
It's really
Was it really expensive right out the out gate?
It's not bad. At first when you're like, ooh, it's gonna cost me $1,000 to have a 10x10 booth. You're like, when you're first starting out, that's $1,000 a lot of money. But when that show produces $20,000 of revenue,
It's a little easier to swallow.
yeah, and okay, yeah, not a problem. And that's great. Not all shows you can't sell at all shows, So you gotta make sure that you're at the right ones. To get in to me is pretty easy, especially if you have a product people want. Now, for all these shows, they're put on by XYZ company, and they don't really care who's there. So you'll find a lot of, I call it stupid things, like they'll try to sell like pots and pans and stuff at a fishing show. Or an ice fishing show, right? It's like, well,
You gotta cook the fish somehow.
right. Or there's some products there that it's just like, what? It's space fillers. I guess they'll take anybody, but no, they're looking to get as many people to those shows as possible, because the more people you have in one of these shows, the more people, the more people you're going to bring into the show. So having somebody like us there, they all want us there because we're going to draw traffic into their shows. And that was the first one that I reached out to, and now we're one of the first ones they go back to every single year and say, oh, you're going to attend, here's the paperwork, But all these other shows, they've all called. So they said, I see you're new into the industry, we'd love to have you here. And they're like selling you on why you have to be at their shows. You just have to pick and choose which ones are going to be best for you, which regions. I just try to, I can't hit every show. I want to hit the ones that are, in different regions, so that way we can kind of hit a broader range of customers, because there are shows in Blaine, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota. I mean, there's so many of them around Minnesota. It's like it's almost impossible.
Well, then
to
you're
hit
just
everyone.
selling. You're selling to the same people because they're
Yeah.
going to those regional shows.
Mm-hmm. In most cases, yeah, and you'll get that in almost every industry. And you see the same people at all the shows. It's so funny because You end up knowing all the other exhibitors. There's so many clothing lineups and all that, and that's how some of these companies make their money. Is they have a website, but they do 90% of the business in
shows.
in shows. Yeah, so they'll go to shows whether it's in this industry or not, just to get the product line out there and sell products. So, it's a good alternative to just selling on the internet or just selling on Amazon, or wherever you're selling today. Is if you can find a show that could broaden your what do you want to call it, like your clientele. I mean, to take advantage. I mean, to that was the best thing for us. The first years to hit the trade show.
How nervous were you going into that first one?
Didn't really know what we were gonna do for a booth. I made this elaborate booth and I didn't bring it because it was so heavy. And I ended up just I saw everybody set up the first day and I just put up our banner. And I found it was worth it. And this next year I know what to do. But it's the unexpected, not knowing. And once you get your first show under your belt, it's going to be so much easier now for other ones because we know what to expect. We know what to bring. We know that it takes 3 days to set up these booths with a lot of these companies. And it was the funniest thing is we were like so quick to set up our booth. And then when shutdown came, everybody was out of that building in 1 hour. And we were still packing everything up. And we were one of the smallest booths. It's like, oh my God, we did this completely backwards, So, you'll learn a lot at them, and they're fun. Oh, my God, they're so much fun.
Did you kind of map out your booth? Like you said, you have a 10 by 10, which might seem big on paper. Then you get there, it's like, oh, this is tiny.
Where do you put the table? Where do you...
I taped it out in the garage, and I kind of pre-set up in a way. It's like, well, it's just going to have to, when we get there, because it was a corner booth, so it was kind of like we had a 10-foot and then another 10-foot.
Well, and the corner booths are the best as far as visibility because you get all the walk-by traffic and from two directions.
Yeah, and I brought my staff to the shows, which was nice because they traveled from Iowa. They didn't want a penny. They just wanted to be part, right? You want to be part of the industry. So that's the type of people that we have. They just want to come up here and be part of the show. And I gave them free product, which they love. They didn't even want it, but they're just happy to come up and be part. And we're just so engaging at the booth where so many of those booths, I mean, it is long, and those days become hell, and you just keep your energy up, and people will come over, and they know that they're like, oh, I've never heard of your company, but I want to buy a battery, and you're a hell of a lot nicer than your competitor, so I'm just going to buy from you, So it was great.
Wait, would you say that's your biggest standout from the competition, especially being the new kid on the block?
Yeah.
The customer service over the big names that are already out there?
Yeah, the big names, this is their second industry. So they're usually, they're a solar battery company or a bike battery company, and this is their second industry. So we have a passion for this industry. So somebody comes to my booth and they're like, "Hey, I have a Helix 7, how long will one of these last?" And they go to the other booth and they're just like, "Oh, just buy one of these batteries. Everybody's buying them, Or we'd be like, "Oh, well, that'll last 10 hours at this." Or if you do it like a 50% screen brightness, you can get up to 15 hours. People go, "Holy crap, you're actually giving me answers I want to hear." So, that stands apart. The fact that we're not, we're humble. We're just staffed with friendly people. They're energetic. They want to talk to you. They want to talk the technology. If you're the guy that comes up wants to talk about his sore leg, it's like, whatever, we'll just chat about whatever. We're just happy to be here. I think that really stands out. And, same thing goes with our customer service too. It's sometimes you email a company and you got a question and it takes a week to get a response back. And, it sucks. I'm constantly like checking my phone to see who's messaging us. But I try to get back to everybody like within the hour if possible, because that goes a long way. You got a question, you're excited about buying a technology, and I get back to you in an hour. My competitor's gonna get back to you in a week. You're likely probably gonna buy from me, right? So that to me means more business. Yeah.
Do you ever set like a time at 6 p.m. I'm turning work off, and now or anything like that to try to? Now I'm with my family. Now I'm not working.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because that is really hard to do when you own a business and you want to take care of people. And yes, so it's usually when family comes home. So I drop the kids off in the morning at 7:00. I'm usually up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Depends if our son wakes us up early or not. And when I'm up. So I work. If I have a few hours to fill orders in the morning, I'll fill orders in the morning, answer questions. They came in overnight. And then I work all day. Get done at 5 o'clock. Or wife usually picks up the kids on the way home from work, and that's pretty much family time. Every now and then, if I'm making dinner, and the family's all playing, I'll maybe check the phone, answer some questions, or it's bath time or whatever, and I got a few minutes, I'll do it. But I try to shut it off, and actually people do realize that they typically don't bother me between 5 o'clock at night and the next morning. But you get most of your people send you questions at 10 o'clock at night or at 3 o'clock in the morning
when they're doing their searching. And
yeah, and so you just answer it the next morning, and people are just thrilled that you answered them right, within that amount of time. So yeah, you're not getting a whole lot. I mean, most of my orders literally come in from the 10 o'clock hour at night and 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 in the morning. It's like really strange.
Have you found that you tend to accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally work more now that you're working from home and kind of doing your own thing than when you were at the office? And
well, yeah, you're 24/7, 365. I mean, except for the hours you put that away, it does. My wife will give me that look.
Some work creep.
Yeah, because it's 7 days a week now. I used to rely on just Monday through Friday, and you get questions Saturday and Sunday that you have to answer too. And I could hold off. Like I put it on my website, our business hours for calling. Like I won't answer calls at certain time. They go my voicemail if it's important. I'll get back to them.
Do you have a separate cell for work versus?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the two, so I can just turn that off and not let it bother me. Because if I hear that phone ring, it's gonna bother me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to answer it.
Yeah, you either have to or
it's that Midwest politeness.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
We can't just let that ring.
No. Yeah, or you hear a ding of the Messenger, Facebook Messenger, because that's where most of my stuff comes in, which is awesome. Because instead of being in the past, I almost regret putting my phone number up on the website for a while, but I've gained so much business by doing that, because you have people who only want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
But then there are so many people who just want to ask a simple question, and I can answer it in 10 seconds.
Right.
Or that would have been a 5-minute phone conversation. So you're
saving so much time.
Oh my God. I can answer 100 questions in a day, and it doesn't feel like anything. Where if it was 100 phone calls I had to take, that's a full-time job. So I've been fortunate I've not had to hire somebody yet, simply because of modern technology. People can send it via email through my website, or they can send it just that little Facebook Messenger tab right on my page, and that's what most people click. Because who doesn't have Facebook, right?
Right. Yeah. Wish I could get rid of it, but unfortunately, social media is the best way to get out there.
Yep.
But so one of the big misconceptions that I found, when I was self-employed, people are like, oh, you can take as much time off as you want. I mean,
it's the opposite.
Right? Yeah. It's no. If I take 40 hours off, I'm working 80 the week prior. I mean, how do you find time to try to schedule time off and get out of the house or get away from work and spend time with the family?
I don't know. No, it's not bad. It's something where if the kid's sick, and you're not trying to find out who's going to be home from work that day. It's going to be me. And it's not bad because I can work from home because I am already. As far as scheduling a vacation, it's kind of like you did in the past. Schedule it around your busy time. So we're taking a week off in August. It's probably one of my slowest months, right? So you take it off during the slow time and just post on the website that, hey, we're going to be out of town. When I was at ICAST, hey, we're going to be out of town for these 4 days, and all orders filled within this time will be filled on this day. And just have to go with it, Going up to Hayward, we won't have cell phone reception. So, I'll probably be working early mornings and, maybe a little bit at night, but it's still going to be a vacation because we're still getting away. I'm not sitting in front of a computer for a week, and that'll be nice. But it's kind of nice because if something does come up, where, hey, there's a big event next week, can you attend? Oh, sure. You can almost drop stuff. You have more flexibility. You're not. You work on the fly. It is nice. it's nice as long as you're disciplined. That's the hardest part of working for yourself, is having that discipline, because you can just, if you wanted to take the day off, you could be off, you know. But it is being disciplined. You know that you're not going to grow if you're not working. So having that discipline and a good work ethic, that'll definitely go a long way.
Well, we're of course now we're in July, but
Yeah.
I mean, winter is coming here for northern Wisconsin.
That
so-
show's over, Gordon.
So, is there anything coming down the pipeline for Energized Outdoors that listeners and customers can look forward to? Any new products or events?
Yep. So this is the year that, I know last year we took off, but this is the year I think we're really going to take off. So I've developed a line of lithium products that is 20% to 35% higher in capacity than last year, and higher than the competition, right? So I know if I had a 10 amp hour battery last year, it's a 12 amp hour battery this year, and my competition's still selling a 10 amp hour battery, and we're 10% lower in price. So as long as the word gets out there on us, people see us, and now that we're into it long enough where people go, okay, yeah, he does got a quality product, you know, they've got a quality product, I think people have a lot more trust in us and faith in us because we've been around. Even though it's only been a year, I think we've proven that, you know, we produce a quality product. So the fact that we're going to be the first company to release these products in the United States and in our industry, the highest capacity, the best price, one of the best warranties, and world-class support, I don't think our competition really stands a chance. You know, it's good. Competition's good for any industry because it makes everybody work harder and produce a better product. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, I've seen my competition produce stuff this year that they wouldn't have only because of us. So that kind of makes us feel good, and it makes me work a lot harder to produce a product that will outshine them and our customers really want. So. I just did a video and be posting our first YouTube video probably in the next week with the new products, but we're very excited. We've got 4 batteries that are being released that are highest capacity industry, lowest price in the industry, and no one's really gonna be able to touch. So we're excited about that, as well as for the fishing jig lineup. I've got closer to 60,000 showing up this year. Retail packaging and all new colors, and a better glow color. Ooh. Yep. Everyone likes glow. Everyone loves their glow. So we've been working hard to
find them at night or early morning.
Yeah, people fish at night, and that's, you know, some of those murky waters. That's the only thing that catches fish. So they love to see a cool, you know, a good glow. So we're gonna try and produce something for them that they'll like. So we'll see what happens with that.
And you know, you're talking, you know, you're 20 or 30% better capacity than the competition.
Yep.
Are you doing your own quality testing, or are you just going off, well, this is what my manufacturer told me?
Oh, so yeah, you got to be careful, China. I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there. You really got to know how to source. And being the fact that I did that in my previous job, you know, it's one thing that you know, when you get into an industry, is you got to learn, or when you get into selling a product like I sell, you got to know it inside and out, but you also got to know what to expect. You got to be able to test it, and the quality control. We've been testing that product for over 6 months now, and we're just releasing it next month. So there's a lot of QC testing involved. Now our factories, you know, we ensure that, you know, our competition really doesn't do this either, but like we use like UL rated cells in all of our products, and our battery packs have an actual certification on them, and the factories we use have, you know, an ISO 9001 certification, all that. So, you know, quality assurance is there. You still have to, you know, check the product, and we randomly sample all the batteries that come in on our batches just to ensure that, you know, there aren't any bad ones out there. And it's very rare that we have a bad one or something that doesn't meet capacity. Usually they get out in the field, and if it is bad, because we test everything before it goes out, it'll come back and we replace it, because, you know, we really do care. But we run a lot. We have battery analyzers that we run all of our stuff on. So Like I sell a 55 amp hour battery that'll give you a 59 amp hours, but we rate it at a 55. Or I've got a 5 amp hour battery that will actually give you 5.6 amp hours. So we typically rate our products lower, like to under promise, over deliver when it comes to that. No, we do a lot of the testing in house. Once you have the product tested, it's going to be this. They're going to build you 1,000 of the same units. So as long as the technology is there, and then we do the spot checks on them just to ensure the quality. And so far we've not had issues. And it's all about having the right suppliers, knowing your suppliers inside and out. If you get to visit your suppliers, that's even better, because then you can see everything in action. You can see that they have a legitimate business and and so on and so forth. Because that's the problem with doing stuff overseas. But luckily, I've had the years of experience with doing that, so I know what to look for. I've got people overseas that I've worked with in the past that can help me with other companies, because they can do the research on the companies or tell me stuff about them that a lot of people don't have. I mean, when people buy from China here, they think of like Alibaba. It's like the Chinese eBay. Yeah, those are all like I'd say stay far away. Those are the ones to be careful with. They're a lot of them are trade companies, or they usually not the best. Usually you got to go direct if you want to buy something quality. And now everything that we sell, so when we first started, was it was kind of like standard issue case, standard issue battery. Now we determine what goes in each one of them. So we specify what goes in each one of them, which battery case they go in, because we're buying in higher quantities. We can do that. So that's how we're able to customize this product and produce something that nobody else has here in the United States. So we pick that product, we test it, and they make it. Yeah.
So when you're like looking for new products and stuff, because you do like so you have ice fishing, and then you have like summer fishing, two very different temperatures, and we all know that batteries are very temperature sensitive.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you try to keep in mind? Like, is summer batteries and winter batteries a thing that you kind of think about, or you try to find one that's good all season?
So because majority, or we started the industry with kind of the ice fishing customer in mind, right? So they're going to be in temperatures that range from usually 30 degrees and down to negative 20, in northern parts of the States and in Canada. So when you're thinking lithium, you're like, well, that stuff doesn't work in cold weather, right? So that's why we use like lithium iron phosphate, because it does have one of the widest temperature ranges you can use. It has usable range from negative 20 all the way up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, wow.
Which is really a very wide working range. Mm-hmm. And one of the tests that I did last fall that I posted on Facebook was our freezer test, where I put one of my batteries in the freezer, which was at 0 degrees, right? I think it was like 12 hours. And then I hooked my battery analyzer up to it and did a battery drain on it, and we only lost 13% capacity.
Oh, wow.
So, and most of these people have a battery like in their vehicle or in their ice house or whatever, so it's warm, and then they take it out. Well, when you put a current to a battery, there's natural heat from that battery that keeps that battery warm during the use, so you really don't lose battery capacity. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we chose the type of battery that we have with lithium iron phosphate, is because it has that wide range of temperature. So that's very key and important. And I tell you what, there's a lot of ice fishing manufacturers out there, electronic manufacturers, who use the wrong type of lithium. And yeah,
it shows.
They've struggled, and they don't have the product on the shelf today. And they did it because it was cheap, right? And, yeah, you can always go cheap to. Cheap isn't always the answer.
Well, especially ice fishing. If it's not working when it's 10 below, you're gonna get real mad real fast.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Already cranky at 17 below zero with the wind chill, and
Yep.
beer freezes before you can get it out of the can.
Yep.
So for anyone that's listening and they're looking to start their own business, but they may or may not be working a 9-to-5 gig, I mean, what kind of advice would you offer them?
Advice to start your own business is find something you're passionate about. That makes it a lot easier. Not only be passionate about it, but be an industry expert before you get into it. So I find so many people will jump into this industry, and I've had new competitors jump into this industry without knowing anything about it at all, and they don't last, right? because people can see through it, or you produce a product that won't work, the way it's intended. You can't speak to it.
Or you're solving a problem that doesn't exist. Or
Right, exactly. No, and you're dead on. And I actually wrote a few other things in here too that I want to mention.
It's the most prepared guest I've ever had on
he's
the show.
fantastic. I don't understand.
The other thing is, if you're going to partner with people, partner with good people, and and know the people that you're partnering with, because there are people out there who just want to make a quick buck off you. So make sure you're partnering with the right people. People that are going to represent your product. It goes a long way. Don't be afraid to take a risk. I took a risk by leaving my job, knowing that I don't have really a whole lot of summer business, and I created summer business, right? So take that risk. And as always, when you're doing something like this, stay outside of your comfort zone. I think if you're comfortable with what you do every single day, you're never really going to get better. So if you get uncomfortable, like this is one of my first podcasts, right? My first podcast. I feel a lot more comfortable now, because I didn't feel comfortable before this. I was really nervous, but now I feel comfortable where I can do this again in the future, or this is going to help me probably do videos and other content, for my company. So get out of that comfort zone. It's only going to help you grow as an individual and as a company.
And most importantly, if there's anyone listening that wants to check out your store and what you carry, where can they find you?
Yeah, so we sell at very few retail stores now, because of our direct-to-customer pricing. We can sell lower than the competition because we're selling directly to you, because retail stores require like 40% markup. They want a 40% profit and all that. So what companies do is they jack up their selling price. So you can find us at www.energizedoutdoors.com. I usually don't say www. Most people know. Just go to energizedoutdoors.com. You can check us out.
Is that on the World Wide Web?
It is on the World Wide Web. Or Facebook, social media sites, it's at Energized Outdoors. So, you can check us out there. We have all of our products on there. And if you want to get a hold of me directly, hit that Facebook Messenger tab, and you can reach me direct. Otherwise, their phone number, contact information.
Or he sits down for dinner at 6:30 p.m. every night, so call him at 6:31.
Thank you. Yeah, I still want to keep that family, by the way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have 15,000 square feet. You just put a new man cave out there. You'll be fine.
There's no plumbing yet. We only have heat. We don't have AC. Yeah.
You just need a box fan and you got the tree line.
Yeah.
You're fine.
So it's good 9 months out of the year.
Right. Right. 9 months. That's true. That's true.
Well, thanks again, Matt, for coming down on the show, and thank you for everyone for tuning into the episode. If you'd like to stay up to date with future guests and episodes, make sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and now I'm back on Twitter. You can also find me on Vero. All of it is under Rules of the Arena Podcast. And make sure to follow the show on Twitch, where you can tune into the show and join the conversations live. Just head over to twitch.tv/Rules of the Arena. You can find this episode and all others on blindninjastudios.com/ROA. Also available for download and streaming on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and CastBox. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, where you can find the live recordings of previous episodes. If you'd like to support the show directly, there's a couple ways you can help out. Please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also support the show directly by heading over to patreon.com/Rules of the Arena Podcast. A couple ways you can help out there. And if you'd like to get a hold of me directly, please shoot me an email to roapodcastinfo@gmail.com. Thanks again, folks, and we will catch you next time.